guys, it's Leandra and I'm here to bring you guys 20 differences between Ready Player One, the book, and the movie. Now this is going to contain spoilers from both the Ready Player One book and also the movie, so just a heads up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's jump right into the 20 differences between the Ready Player One book and movie. Will remember the good old days before Wade became a Oasis famous Gunter. He spent most of his days on Ludus, which is the home to hundreds of public schools, including the school that Wade attended. In the beginning, he lives day by day, barely making any money, and he definitely does not have the money to travel to other planets in the Oasis, so he spends most of his days on the planet Ludus. That sort of becomes his sanctuary at the very beginning before he's able to travel. Only after he gets the copper key and earns that really hard cash is he able to travel and go wherever he wants. However, in the movie adaptation, his avatar Parzival is seen roaming freely throughout the Oasis minutes after we are introduced to its existence. There is no mention of his poor living conditions, and there's no mention of Ludus at all. One of the most powerful moments of the book is when Wade finally figures out the location of the copper key. In fact, so much world building kind of leads up to this momentous moment, and it just brings a lot of irony out to the table when it's revealed that the copper key is actually on Ludus. In the movie, everyone already knows the location of the copper key, basically a race that you have to finish, which is nigh impossible. After one finds one of the 3 keys, that person also has to go look for its respective gate, which you can only open with that key. Only after that specific gate is cleared, which poses another challenge, that person receives the next clue as to where the next key is. The movie completely did away with this concept of gates, simply making the challenges to get the keys extra hard, and then gave the person the location of the next key right after getting the previous one. So the challenges that led up to getting those keys were all very different in the movie, with the exception of the very last one. Getting the copper key in the book required the person to find the entrance of a recreation of the tomb in Dungeons & Dragons' very own Tomb of Horrors, which was on Ludus, and playing Joust against the very end boss. In the movie, like I said before, the location of the copper key was finishing off the race. In order to find the jade key in the book, a person had to play in a virtual reality recreation of the movie War Games, speaking the right dialogue at the right time, putting in the same emphasis and the same sort of acting quality. In the movie, however, the Fivers had to go through a recreation of the hotel in The Shining and dance with Kira, who is Halliday's crush. The movie portrays the relationship between Wade, Artemis, and H to be quite easygoing. However, in the book, their relationship was not always that simple. While Wade and H were best friends in the book, just like in the movie, when Wade finally finds the copper key and sort of becomes more immersed in the hunt, there are a lot of things that he has to hide from H, and their friendship just doesn't continue on as deeply as before. In the novel, the rules between Gunters are very clear. Every man or woman for themselves. Hunters are almost always rivals, and they're competing against each other to find the egg. This also includes the other members of the Fivers, Dato and Shoto. It takes Wade quite a long time to earn their trust in the novel and to become somewhat friends. However, in the film, Wade and H never really have a falling out. Him and Artemis become friends very soon, and him and Shoto and Dato sort of build a friendship from the beginning as well. After Wade's house blows up and his aunt gets killed, he kind of gets kidnapped by this man with like this obscure face tattoo. He then wakes up to find Samantha, aka Artemis, sitting next to him asking him to join her rebellion. Now, the rebellion is obviously just a group of people who want to fight IOI. The entire concept of the rebellion doesn't exist in the books, doesn't happen whatsoever, and it was only really introduced in the movie as a way to bring Wade and Artemis to one another much faster. Now, in the book, Artemis certainly did want to use the hunt for good. She definitely had this passion for bringing justice to the world and for rebuilding the world as a better place, but she just does that on her own. There's no sort of rebellion or group of people that she brings together to do that. In the book, Og throws his annual big birthday bash, and Wade and Artemis are both invited. This doesn't happen in the movie, but instead Wade and Artemis go out on a sort of date to a famous club on the Oasis, which basically recreates that scene that we know from the book. In fact, the whole dance floor and the way that the club looked visually was basically taken right out of the book, so I was really happy with that, but the only difference is that Og isn't there and there's no birthday party. Now, in the novel, after Halliday passes away, people start reading his journal, Anorak's Almanac, which basically just contains all of his thoughts and things that happened in his life. And Gunters have basically been reading this book for years and years, trying to find their way into Halliday's brain, trying to figure out how to solve these riddles. Now, in the film, there's no journal per se. There is this building that one can visit in the Oasis, which provides the people videos of Halliday's memories that they can access, and they can basically look at this video in a 360-degree view kind of thing. And also Og actually is revealed to be working there as this sort of butler guy. Wade earns a nice big stash of money and his aunt is killed, he decides to move out of the stacks and to Columbus, which is where the fastest running intranet is. He sets himself up in a nice fancy apartment and installs an AI assistant called Max, which is very amusing. However, in the Steven Spielberg adaptation, Wade never moves to Columbus. Him and his aunt have always lived in Columbus, and the stacks are actually in Columbus. And then after his aunt gets killed, he doesn't really move out, he just goes back to his hideout and then teams up with the other Fivers later on. Now, in the book, Wade intentionally gets himself caught by IOI to work off his supposed debt in one of their loyalty centers. He does this in order to hack into their database and take down the magic orb that was creating a force field around the location of the third key. In order to give Artemis more screen time, it is her character Sam who goes to the loyalty center in the movie and not Wade. However, one of the major differences that I noticed was that while in the book, Wade is very, very much aware of what's going on and he's very deliberate with his actions, in the movie, Sam doesn't really know what's going on. She's very panicky. She has no idea how to get out of there and she needs a lot of help. In the novel, Irok is just this annoying guy who sometimes shows up at H's basement and in the end sort of spills the beans where Parzival's school is. However, in the movie, he is actually hired by IOI and is used to track down and attemptedly murder Wade and Artemis on several occasions. Now, in the novel, if you guys read it, you'll remember Dido gets pushed out of his apartment and falls a very, very long, gruesome fall out of his building and dies. In the movie, he stays alive and well, and he ends up getting 1/5 of the winnings of the hunt. Now, while Sam is in the loyalty center, the other Fivers hack into Sorrento's sort of haptic chair and make him believe that he's actually in the real world while he's in the Oasis, and they make him think that he's been kidnapped in the real world in order to find out Artemis's location in the loyalty center. This obviously doesn't happen in the book, and yeah, there's no mention of this whatsoever. When we learn about the true identity of H in the novel, we also learn about her backstory and the sad reason why her mom sort of made her take a white male avatar in the Oasis. The sad truth was that she was experiencing both very, very harsh racism and sexism, and this doesn't really get touched up on at all in the movie. And while Wade is surprised at her being a black woman, he instantly recognizes her as his best friend, and they have a really sweet moment together in the book. There is this moment of like, oh wow, this is who H is, coming from Wade in the movie, but it is severely underemphasized and completely ignored later, and we never ever get to hear about H's backstory and the fact that she was suffering through racism and sexism. Now, in the novel, all of the Fivers, minus Dido, end up going to Og's mansion at the very, very end of the novel per his invite in order to face off IOI for one last fight. However, in the movie, they are all together in H's van, and she has to drive really fast, avoiding IOI attacks from guns and people coming in the van. Now, in the movie, H owns a massive garage garage where he/she fixes other people's technical problems. This isn't mentioned in the book at all. The only thing we see from H is the basement that people hang out in. After getting the crystal key in the novel, all of the people who found the crystal key are able to choose from a massive robot that they're able to use in the final battle. In the movie, the Fivers never get the robot from their challenges, and H is kind of the only one who has one because she builds one in her garage. That Sorrento was actually an intern with Halliday and Morrow, the sort of creators of the Oasis, and that is why he has this sort of pent-up bitterness towards them. However, in the novel, this isn't mentioned whatsoever, and he is just the leader of IOI who's hell-bent on taking over the Oasis. Sure, there are definitely references from movies, TV shows, and comic books, and a lot of them are quite hidden, but I just feel like the book was just filled to the brim with them, and there were also just much more explicit references to them. The way that the Gunters literally have to immerse themselves in nerddom galore, you know, going through the comic books in order to succeed at the hunt, just isn't really touched upon that much. Like, sure, you see Wade like knowing a couple things and saying a couple smart things, but there isn't really that mention of, you know, just how much the Gunters know, if that makes sense. Now, there are actually 3 things that I want to mention about the ending and things that sort of I noticed were a bit different from the novel. First of all, is the kind of philosophicalness and mysteriousness of the very ending. When Wade encounters Halliday's AI sort of recreation, he asks him that question like, who are you really? And it kind of sort of is supposed to invoke a sense of, oh my goodness, this might be Halliday's ghost. It was just very, very philosophical. Second of all, Wade never gets Anorak's sort of outfit and powers. In the movie, it is definitely mentioned that Wade becomes the new owner of the Oasis, but I kind of liked how in the book he got Anorak's outfit and he was told that, you know, he has immortality and like magic and all of that. Last but not least, Wade ends up shutting the Oasis down for 2 days a week in the movie. While this entire real is better sort of concept was definitely kept throughout the book, it just was emphasized a lot more in the movie. There is definitely more of a, oh, the Oasis is keeping me from living my real life in the movie, and that just wasn't like that in the books as much. So those were the 20 biggest differences that I noticed between the Ready Player One book and the Ready Player One movie. Were there any differences that I missed? Please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, what did you guys think of the movie? Please leave me a comment down below. That would be awesome. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye!